the Zenio Odyssey podcast, where we discuss life from the point of view of people born in the late 1970s to the early to mid 1980s. We discuss growing up analog and navigating adulthood in a digital world. Please come join us as we look to uncover what it actually means to be a Zenio.
Happy days, Rem. Happy Sunday.
Thank you. Happy Sunday to you as well. Did a little church run this morning.
Oh, you did? Did you go with Mr. Jamie Stu?
I did.
All right.
He brought the kids.
Okay.
So it didn't quite go as planned.
By that you mean there were just
things happen with kids.
Extenuating circumstances.
Yeah. That stuff happens. But honestly, like when I remember being like 4 or 5 at church, it was awful. You have no concept of what's going on. People are singing, and you're like, what the fuck do I do? You start ripping out the pages of the Bible.
I mean, that depends on how and what they're saying. First off, it's obviously like hymns, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It starts with it's like a rock and roll church at first. Like they play 3 or 4 songs.
But it's not like they're playing the Fifth Dimension, like the Dawning of Aquarius.
I kind of wish it's basically like the joke I make when I'm there is, it's God's Garage Band.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like very low level, but it's cool. It gives me a chance to like stop, catch my breath, and make sure among all my fucking malaise that I'm thanking the world for the few things that are going well. That's what it comes down to, yeah. So it was good. A little shorter than normal, but that's okay.
All right. What else is new besides going to church?
I mean, you and I are both in an interesting situation with the people who've actually watched the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Me and Bobby lost our job at the same time, completely unrelated, different fields, hours away from each other. And so then that began for both of us, like I was in it a little longer than you, just the job search. And we should talk about that a little bit. We should talk about how it sucks every ounce of character out of your soul.
Do you remember probably when we were talking about the Diddy episode?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you said it on here, but you and I definitely had a conversation. Might have even been with Jamie Stewart. But you mentioned to me that you do it the old school way.
Yeah.
Like you go brick and mortar, you'll go to places to do it. I mentioned how I mostly do Indeed. So at my last employer, there were people who did reach out to me, very nice people. They were very nice, and they just said, if you need anything, and I appreciate all you, shout out to you. Some of them even said, hey, I noticed you have a LinkedIn. Can you update? It hasn't been updated in years, and
that shit's really it sucks, but it's very helpful.
It is, but I gotta tell you, between that and ZipRecruiter, fuck them.
Yeah,
because first off, ZipRecruiter is very AI driven.
Oh, 100%. I feel that way about LinkedIn now. 10 ways to get your B2B marketing bucking on page 2 of Google.
Listen, my AI guy, his name was Phil.
Of course it was.
And he sent me all these things, and it was just based off of my resume. And Indeed does this, but you can fine tune Indeed,
tweak it
a lot more. And with Indeed, I literally. So, do you know that I have a master's degree?
I think we've discussed it, but it's not something I keep in the front of my brain.
So the problem with anything that AI driven or anything that would go through a search engine for that is they just assume I'm licensed to do things I'm not licensed to do.
Yep.
So ZipRecruiter Phil is like, we found this wonderful job for you. This job, licensed mental health. I'm like, I'm not a credential to do that stuff. But you have a master's. Yeah, you need more than a master's degree to do that shit.
Tweak your algorithm.
Yeah. So I just started unsubscribing from all of it because they just blow up my email, which blow up my phone. And it's like, when you're searching for a job,
you want the emails to be responses to the...
And not just that, you want it to be jobs that you don't have to just go, fuck it. I can't, this is a waste of my time. Very happy to report that all that stuff aside, I do have a new job.
Yep.
So I'll be starting it in 2 weeks.
Nice.
And a little bit of a pay cut from what I was doing, but as far as that, I could give a shit.
It's mental shit, bro.
And it's stuff I've kind of done in an ancillary way, but I'm going to have to learn some new skills, refine some skills I have. So that to me is terrifying, but exciting at the same time.
That's where I'm at. Cause my job, for those paying attention, called me 3 weeks to the day of firing me. And they were like, we have a new position that's better. Come back for it, which was crazy. It was unheard of. I remember Bob specifically, when I sent him that text, he's like, and I know I've said this before on here, but he was like, Rem, as much as we have a lot in common, don't think my job's going to call me back with a better position.
No, but to their credit,
Yeah.
to the people that I worked with, a lot of them reached out, were very nice. And so
Nice.
that was cool. That was appreciative. So
But
yeah,
I feel the same way. Like I'm going into it's going to be a brand ambassador position, and it's all new. It's a higher, little bit more involved position than I've had in a long time. I'm super fucking overwhelmed right now. Like readying for it is going to be so much worse than doing it.
I don't know about you. I'll just be completely honest with my feelings right now. I'm not excited.
It's you reach an age, and what would be excitement becomes anxiety, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not excited. I'm not like I should be excited about that, but I'm not. Like
We've done this process so many fucking times.
next week, I plan on going and getting a binder because I have to get certified in a certain thing, so I have to do that. And they told me they said we're going to give you a year to get certain. It's not going to take me a year, but
nice.
like I'm going to.
But they're not rushing you to do it.
Yeah, and I'm already going to start prepping for that. So there's that. Doesn't change my salary once I get it. They told me like,
it's just to make you better at what you do.
And you have to have this to do what we do. And I said, okay, that's fine. I can live with that. That's perfectly fine. So that's like where my mind's at. Like that's how it gets off my anxiety.
Yeah.
But I also had this look back at the year. Fuck this year. I thought last year was bad. Holy fuck. And I manifested this. I admit. Do you remember the Festivus episode?
Yeah.
Festivus episode, I literally was like, I need to be outside my comfort zone, and I didn't really put a fine print on that. Well, I guess
got thrown outside
the stars aligned, and they said, yeah, you're going to get in a car accident. You're going to have, personal life turmoil. You're going to get fired. You're going to have all this shit going on because, you said you wanted to be outside your comfort zone.
Yep.
Congratulations.
You wanted to form more character. How's that? But you do good at it, Bob. You know, we say it, it's cliche, but we're not gauged on how hard we get hit. We're gauged on how fast we get up. So, me and Bob started this podcast because we both get hit a lot.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean we don't get hit with all bad. That's not what we're saying, but we get hit a lot.
And I think people our age have gotten hit over the course of our lives. And that's the other reason we started it, because it was about us and everybody else talking about getting up off the mat.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
So it's another knockdown, and if you watch, it's not anything. I don't think either me or Bob thought that was going to necessarily happen to us. But we immediately looked for work and we immediately found it. But so let's get in the paint though for a minute. All right. So how many applications, how many interviews? Because for me, it was crazy. Like maybe 15 applications for 3 interviews, I want to say. Like 15 applications submitted.
How far back did you want me to go? Because I was looking for another job even when I had my job.
I guess maybe about a month before.
Go a month before?
Yeah.
All right.
But the ratio's crazy, right? Like 20 applied, 2 called type of shit.
Yeah, I would say probably somewhere around 12 to 15.
Yeah.
12 to 15, 3 phone interviews. Of those 3, 2 resulted in in-person interviews. One resulted in a second in-person interview, and then of ultimately offering me the job.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, much like what you've been talking about.
It's tough out there.
I think that's the thing that blows my mind is that we see. I don't know if you follow. I follow it just because I'm at that age. Like unemployment, the jobless claim was like a little over 4% last month.
Yeah.
For the entire country.
Wow.
And it's like
they're fudging numbers, bro.
Well, yeah, this is how they legally fudge the numbers. That counts like people who DoorDash. That counts as the job. That counts people who are just reporting that they're doing something
or working in fucking 5 hours a week. Counts.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's not like it. That does not count like a 40-hour a week, like with probably benefits job. It's just, are you working? Yes or no, part time or not? We don't give a shit.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's how they fudge the numbers.
Of course.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I get it, I get that, but yeah, I do agree with you. Is that there is competition.
Yeah.
One of the jobs reached out to me the same day I had an interview with this job.
Interesting.
And they told me that they decided that it's essentially, they didn't say it like this, and they were very nice. It was not one of those generic emails of like, hey, we didn't pick you for the job. It was like it's a difficult decision. We liked you. We just need someone more. And from our pool, there was nobody what we're looking for. So we're going back into the pool.
Interesting.
So it was like, I wasn't quite there. But they liked me.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at, especially in Massachusetts, especially this part of the country.
Yeah, it's been nuts. And it's it's disheartening. You get burnt out and you're like, oh, introductions again, new people, blah, blah, fucking blah. Yeah, I think it's hard the older you get to get excited for shit like that.
But I'm glad you said, what about the last month? I mean, Rem, to be completely honest, I had been looking for a job since March of 2024.
Wow.
I just wanted to, like I think most people would, like you would, I would assume, if I'm going to go to another job,
I want to have it lined up.
I want to give my notice at my job and have that continuity of paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that. And luckily I saved money. So money hasn't been an issue, but it's still that whole like sitting down and now I don't have absolutely something to go to that's like fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Because it's like I have to do all that. So if we go back to March of 2024, that number's probably around 20 to 25 jobs.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Of which probably 7 to 8 phone interviews.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, other interviews, people went with other candidates. I applied for state jobs, and then the state went into a fucking hiring freeze in April. So it's like, yeah, they're not calling it a hiring freeze. It's a hiring freeze.
Yeah.
But what do you do? That's just the nature of this stuff.
Roll with it.
And that, by the way, so if you think about it, I've been looking for jobs for 8 months.
Yeah.
Like, that in and of itself is emotionally taxing.
Agreed.
Even if you have a job, especially if it's a job you no longer like anymore.
And then when you're not getting calls and you're putting yourself out there, you're like, what the fuck? Is there something wrong on the resume? What am I doing wrong? Do I have a reputation? Like, it's fucking scary. It is.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting to have both been there, both gotten out of there, but both at a point right now when we're very hesitant about our corporate relationships, I think.
Yeah.
When we've worked a lot, we've worked with a lot of different people, and we realize that it's kind of exhausting. It's kind of exhausting going through the different layers, the corporate, the work level. It's just so we're at a point when both of us check with us in 2 months and we're probably going to be like, we fucking love our jobs. We'll get that. Yeah. We'll get the boost back. We'll get the energy back. But it's burnt me out.
Yeah. Me too.
It's burnt me out. It's
me too. I was burnt out from searching, and I was burnt out from a
working.
job where the mandates at that job were insane.
Yeah.
Insane. So in this role, I'll still be doing a little bit of training, not a lot, but I'll be doing training. I'll be going into homes.
Nice.
And doing like integrity checks of the behavior plans.
Yeah.
And teaching staff, like if they're having issues or if they're running into issues, I can show them and they
Ways
can show
around
me.
it.
Yep. So I'll be doing a lot of that. Hours are a little different, Monday through Friday. 11 to 7.
Oh, that's a weird one.
Yeah. So it means I'll get home because of I'll probably get home around 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So a lot of prepping for dinner in the morning.
Yeah, of course. A lot of weekly food prep.
Yeah. So I'll definitely do that. That'll cut down on it. I still want to donate. That just means I'll now donate in the morning.
Yeah.
During the week. That's fine. But yeah, and I assume like there'll be some wiggle room because like if I have meetings and like it's outside of the company meetings, because I will have that too, that if it's at like 9 in the morning, it's like, well, I'm going to have to start working at 9 in the morning today.
Yeah.
But they told me why they do that. They do that because they notice that things happen around the late afternoon, evening.
Okay.
And they want somebody that's there to kind of help out.
I remember.
Yeah.
Sundowning.
And I think that's cool. Yeah. And I think that's cool. I get that. I'll still kind of do those crisis intervention trainings like I have been doing. It's all fine. It's all good. Yeah. So that's, I think once I get past that initial nervousness and anxiety that you talked about, I'll hit that stride. And again, I'll be interacting with people, individuals. And I just need to get into it. I'm an experiential person. Like I don't like the
in-between's frustrating.
I don't like the hype of thing. Yeah. The wait.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's where I'm at. And like, oh, you start next week. Oh no. Well, you know what? We got to onboard you next week. And it's just like, okay.
And I'm not so much talking about the band's wait. I'm talking about Tom Petty.
Nice.
Waiting is the hardest part.
Yep. Waiting.
Yep. Although I
could
talk about the wait by the band all day. I mean, we could definitely do that.
We could go there.
Yeah. All right. So what else are we going to talk about today?
I mean, so me and Bob are in a transition. We're both sort of like we're excited and we're burnt. That's the energy if you're trying to pick up on it. Like,
I think the greater society's like
feels the exact same way
for different reasons, but the same thing.
So So anyway, whenever you listen to this, who the fuck knows when it'll be? Everyone does it when they do it, but it's what? Sunday and Tuesday is
Tuesday, November 5th.
is going to be
Is election day.
Is going to be the election. We're definitely not going to find out for like days, and both sides are going to say the other side fucked around. So I think it's going to be a shit show. But
Yeah.
there's just part of me that thinks like this is the last. And remember, we're nonpartisan. Like I'm not on either team, and I haven't.
You've heard my slogans. Everyone, fuck them both. Right now, 2024.
So don't think if I say Trump's a fucking idiot that I don't necessarily think the other side's full of idiots too. But I just think we're at a place where it's so volatile, and I feel like if Trump wins, whatever. But I feel like something's going to happen if he doesn't win. That's the thing is like...
It's terrifying. I understand what you're saying because we already saw it January 6th, 2021.
So I think there's a part of me and a lot of other people right now are like, is this the last few days of normalcy for our country?
I mean,
not that it's been normal.
I haven't felt normal in a while.
Fucking years. But I mean, is it about to get systematically worse?
I don't know how it can.
It can.
I mean, physically, like fucking bedlam in the streets, it can. But I mean, like everything around that, like people's feelings about. It has been a very long fucking time since I've talked to people who are excited.
Yeah.
About like the change.
Anything. So that's the theme of the whole episode.
You know, I would, in my opinion, the last time people were collectively like really excited was Obama 2008.
Yeah. The man could talk. He was systematically trying to bring some change in, no matter what you think about him. Doesn't matter.
Last time, by the way, I voted for a Democrat because I did vote for Obama.
Yeah.
I did vote for him in 2008. I did not vote for him in 2012. I didn't vote for Romney either because I thought that was just... Romney was my favorite because everybody placates to whoever they're trying to get votes from.
Yeah.
And watching Mitt Romney go into like Nebraska in a pickup truck and overalls, and I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, it was like the footage of Trump this week at
Like,
McDonald's. They all know. They all know how to play a role because it's going to make for a good snapshot. But it's also like when you see it for what it is, you're like, wow, this is soap opera shit.
Have you seen, and kudos, I will give CNN kudos for this. They showed different ads that Kamala Harris her people are running in different places, like ads in Michigan where there's a lot of like Muslim people.
Yeah.
And it's about Israel. About Israel, all that, and then showing it to like ads that are geared more towards like people who are Judaism.
Yeah, no, of course.
It blows my mind. Like, wow, that's the same candidate. That's fucked up.
The PR team, dude.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I think that all the mudslinging and shit, I don't know. I think, because obviously, like, whoever wins, the other side's also going to be like, they didn't win legally. So I don't even think we're going to find out who our president is for a long fucking time. I think there's going to be... I don't know. I think that, and I'm not like a guy who has racks of shotguns in my house or anything, so it's a little scary.
We have mutual friends who have enough firearms that I'd feel okay.
That's true, though.
Yeah.
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 1 or 2 houses and would be well taken care of.
Yeah, I know, and besides mutual friends, I know enough people where I'd be like, listen, you know where I stand? I stand for we the people.
Yeah.
Like, and so we all just band together and we just fuck shit up. How about that?
I like that plan.
Yeah, and we're passive, but you come fuck with us, you're going to find out.
You're going to get fucked with back.
Yes.
But yeah, I just think it all feels, and I think that's why it's been a hard time for me, and I'm sure you can relate to this, is it all feels very transitional. It's all transitions right now. We're transitioning between presidents. We're transitioning between jobs. Like, we're at maximum. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I do agree with you.
Which is a horrible place to be, by the way.
Well, I do agree with you. I also feel it's all going according to the plan that they want.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yeah, which always...
I mean, I will say this. Donald Trump's the closest we've ever had to the Joker being the president. Take that how you want. Do you like Trump? Do you like the Joker? Just take it how you want. But that's what it is. It's I'm gonna take this, flip it on its head. You know? And it's the other thing that's crazy to me, right, is people, the way people talk about the other side, right? Like a lot of Dems right now will be like, well, he's an idiot. He's not a threat. Oh, that's a dumb way to look at it. He very much is a threat. Whether or not, depending on where you stand, it doesn't matter. We're at a 50-50 point. So for either side to be like, well, the other side's kind of fucking, they need to be taken more seriously than that, I think.
But I look at it this way. It's more like sports. It's more like literally like a sporting event.
Yankees versus the Red Sox.
Yeah, and like people being like, oh, and my side won, and fuck you, and like, yeah, your side, and then the other side, we're Devers, and it's like, When the fuck did we get away from, yes, ideologically, this person aligns more with what I want, but if they lose, move forward.
Yeah, so be it.
We are far removed from that stuff, and that stuff sucks.
Everybody thinks that their vote is the winning vote now. You know, there is such a sense of importance with it.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is what's going on around the world.
Madness.
Is you have like Iran and Israel laying their dicks on the fucking, they're just putting their dicks out there to be like literally who's doing what and who's gonna dick? And all this stuff. And you have the conservatives who are saying this is because the Democrats weakened us, and it's like they try to absolve themselves like they didn't play any part in that. Fuck you.
Yeah, I know.
Like, no, take ownership for the fact that we're just more vulnerable regardless. And how are we gonna fucking fix it?
And just both sides finger pointing blatantly is just fucking tired.
And you fucking finger point and nothing gets done, and then these problems don't go away. And that's the part that for me is very concerning.
And for me, it's like, you know, I lost a lot. I stopped giving a fuck, I guess. It was really like after Epstein got arrested, you know what I mean? And
nothing happened.
Nothing happened. And now Diddy's getting arrested and nothing's going to happen. And these are pressing issues, you know, for me, obviously, for a lot of people, like sex trafficking and abuses.
And it's swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Because it's political season.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, these people that we're voting for hang out with these motherfuckers like they do. These people are all cut from the same cloth. So it just feels interesting because I mean, like next week, is it going to be like, hey, Bob, do you want to do it? Jamie wants to do that episode, but maybe we shouldn't leave the house because there's a civil war.
No, and this has been my ongoing conversation, not just with you, but with anybody, is that no, we're at the precipice of World War III. Yeah. It's getting worse. North Korea has now sent troops to Russia to fight in Ukraine, and that's fine. And I've always told people, if you are going to support the Democratic Party, you have
to support what they do.
Their approach to this is force. Yeah. I don't care what people say. Their approach is force.
Yeah.
And that's the difference of, do you want to aggressively enter a World War III, or do you want to passively enter a World War III?
Yeah.
Because the difference, in my opinion, between the two of them is, if you support the Democratic Party, you want to forcefully enter that World War III. And if you support the Republicans right now, you want to passively enter that war. Yeah. And that means you get drawn in because something happens where you can't avoid it anymore. And my other issue is the way that neither scenario is a good scenario, by the way, because it means World War III has occurred.
Regardless, yeah.
And it's still, to me, it's just ramping the fuck up. Like, there's more signs that it is ramping the fuck up. And what is frustrating, because people will say, well, no one was doing this under Trump. Yeah, because he was doing backdoor deals.
Yeah, we didn't even know what he was doing.
He was doing backdoor deals with people. And that, if that's what you're cool with, that's fine. But there's a price.
Yeah.
There's a price at some point.
Where do those stop?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yep. And I think that makes us weaker too. I saw somebody posted this. It was mostly it was like a YouTube reel. And they were taking to task Kamala Harris's taxing businesses.
Okay.
And they used Reagan, a clip of Reagan saying why that stuff doesn't work.
Yeah.
But then I remember, because this is me, I'm cynical, and I said, yeah, it's something else that doesn't work, like trickle-down economics.
Yeah, exactly.
So what we're faced with there is two fucking things that don't work. So then what are we left with?
Pointless buzzwords.
Pointless buzzwords, and we're fucked either way, and are we just going to sit? That's what, I know you said you're worried about a civil war. I kind of want a civil war. Because what I mean by a civil war is I would rather all of the people of our country unite and take over the government.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Because we outnumber them.
French Revolution, baby.
But they have mastered the way to keep us down.
Oh, of course. That's all it is. It went from being a war between them to them making it a war between us. And they did it flawlessly.
And they're still doing it flawlessly.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you follow the profile God on Facebook?
No.
It's funny. It kind of looks like a caricature that South Park created.
Yeah.
Very liberal. May or may not be from the US, which is fine. Clearly hates Donald Trump, and that's not why. But when it's like, oh, name one this is my favorite. Name one company that we could remove today and would make the world a better place. And everybody, or name one entity, and everyone's like, the Republicans, they name all this stuff. And I went on there and like nobody wants to touch it. And I'm like, BlackRock.
Yeah.
BlackRock, which pretty much owns
all of media.
The fucking world.
Yeah.
Not just the media. They own the food. They own the media. They own...
But the media is where the manipulation takes place.
Yeah, the weapons of mass distraction. Yeah. You're right with that. But they own so much more. They own... If the world is full of... I'm making up this number. If the world's circulation of money is somewhere like $50 trillion, they own 32 of it.
Wow.
Like that's how influential they are.
Yeah.
And what I love is that they're the companies that they own, that they let run the news media, which I love that. Like CNN's owned by one of them and Fox News. That's the reason that they're so different.
Yeah.
They're like that on purpose.
Because they want to get both sides.
And the reason that I honestly don't have conversations on this level with people is because we have people that are so indoctrinated into this
That they're going to go off.
that their cognitive dissonance kicks in and they go into fight or flight.
Yep.
And I think that's a normal reaction that people have. And they're not even listening. People aren't listening anymore.
They're barking at, they're two dogs barking at each other. Yeah.
Okay, well, what about this? Well, that means you're I didn't say I was. I asked you a question because I just wanted clarification.
Well, that's the thing.
Well, then it's like, that sucks.
My sister came in this week and my brother came in and they were in yesterday hanging out with my mom, who I take care of. And it just kept gravitating back to politics. And like, we've never been a politics family.
Are they both the same? Are they both? I know what your
Everyone's
sister
on
is.
the same page.
Okay.
Essentially. But still, they're there and they're talking in circles. And I'm like, I asked, right? I'm like, why are we doing this? And they looked at me like I was strange. And I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, you see mom twice a year. Ask her how she is. Talk about some new food you discovered. Bring us photos of your dogs. Because regardless of how you feel, I don't give a fuck who you are, what side you're on. Talking politics will raise your blood pressure. Period. And I kept saying that. I'm like, guys, if one of us in this room thought differently, I'd understand why we're talking about it. But what are we doing? You know? And then at one point they were like,
circling the wagons. Let's get the troops ready.
Dude, like, how about, I don't know. It's become so second nature. And even just to be upset and reactive without being productive or proactive.
Yeah.
You know? But it's like, if you guys feel this passionately about it, and this is the shit I was like, shouldn't you be out canvassing?
One of my favorite conversations, this is a true conversation I had with a family member, is they told me they were voting for somebody and why they couldn't vote for the other person. I was like, and again, they know me. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and there were other people not in my family, and they asked me, and I just used this analogy. I said, all right, gun to your head. You got to vote for Kamala, or you got to vote for Trump. I cut them off and said, pull the trigger. and they kind of had that. Everyone else started laughing. I was like,
yeah,
3 choices.
Yeah,
like,
and
no.
and that's the other thing too, is like, you know, unfortunately, people don't know enough about her or him. That's just how I feel. People aren't truly educated about these people. And so it's just not as black and white as people
because they're
think.
not really. Trump goes in and out of talking about policies in a snake oil salesman way. He never we got a plan. You're gonna love it. It's the greatest plan.
He knows how to talk around things.
We're gonna tell you about it once you elect me in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she's not doing that either. Like, I watched her town hall. That was people who are undecided, who had some legitimate questions and they wanted answers.
And she's good at dodging.
And she was just focused on the fact that he is a fascist, but she's focusing on that and not answering the question. And I said, that's going to bite her in the ass.
Yeah.
The people who are undecided have basically said in polls they want to know where she stands, and she won't answer it. So why should they vote for her?
Yeah.
I think that's fair. That's a fair criticism, because I know plenty of people I know that they're voting for. They're not voting. And this is not Trump or Kamala. It's both sides. They're not voting for them because they align the most with their beliefs. They just don't, because they don't like the other person.
Yep.
And I said, that's a shitty, that you've compromised your integrity as a human being.
Mudslinging, baby.
Yeah. And that's but that's ultimately what they want too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want that too.
So, I mean, I thought it would be interesting to just address that a few days before it happens, because who the fuck knows, man?
Yeah.
Like, who knows if people are going to bring guns? Who knows if there's going to be, like, who knows?
If this is more like 2016, do you know what we're going to get? We're going to get more memes and reels and GIFs.
I hope that's the case, but
because
feel
because that's what they were making fun of people about.
Yeah.
When Trump won.
Yeah.
Is like the women crying, or that. Do you ever see that they call her angry woman? Yeah. Have you ever seen that video?
Yeah, she's not a bad person.
Yeah. And they just froze frame it.
In a moment that made her.
They were having a civil conversation.
Yeah, it was.
And I thought that was terrible.
I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
I agree that the picture's great, but it doesn't represent her. And then she became the face of, like, Karen's.
Yeah.
That sucks, dude.
Whereas the one about the woman, like, literally, like, that's funny. Like, come on, that's funny.
No, meme culture, you know?
Yeah.
It's good and it's bad.
But then fast forward like 4 years and we have literally people storming the Capitol.
I know.
And have you heard the police? Have you heard, like, the police, like, the dispatch, talking to dispatch?
No, I don't
And they
think
just
I
said,
have.
we're overrun.
Yeah, there's nothing.
I'm like, wow,
We weren't prepared.
you're overrun. It is so bad that his own vice president was like, nah, fuck this.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna die.
I'm certifying this because we have this to stop.
Yep.
This needs to end. And I was like, wow, that's fucking something.
That was crazy to see that.
Do you feel comfortable if we talk about something
Today's.
more focused? We can get to titties after this, but I mean something more politically focused in Massachusetts.
We can try. I don't
Okay.
know how good of a convo
All right.
I'll be for it.
All right.
I duck out with this shit. I'll admit.
First off, are you voting?
No.
Okay, so I did my mail-in voting.
Word.
I did
Don't
it.
fucking judge me.
I did it 2 weeks
I feel
ago.
a few of you out there. Well, he talks about politics, but listen.
Well, Rem, to be fair,
Listen. Okay? I don't want to be involved with it. I had a couple instances, I'm like him. I voted for Obama. Okay, don't judge me. But the politics of now is not the politics of then, and I cannot involve myself with this pageantry and circusness. Okay, so reserve your judgment. Understand, if I didn't vote, I shouldn't have a right to say anything, right? I shouldn't have a voice because I was given a voice and I chose not to use it. You can suck my dick.
you're somewhere between The Sopranos and My Cousin Vinny right now.
It was. I was like,
that's what
it was
you
a
did.
little penguin coming out of
Yeah.
me. But so no, I understand. I want to say I understand that argument, but there was a particular election that I got really, really upset that I voted and things. So I'm weird, and we're not going to talk about politics often. When Bob's like, "What do you want to talk about?" I'm like, maybe we should talk about the world ending. But take the floor, Bob.
But the reason I wanted to do Massachusetts, there are 5 questions on the ballot. First and foremost,
mushrooms definitely.
There were 3 races that weren't races. There was only one person running. I did not vote for them. I wrote in people.
Yeah,
I wrote in random people.
nice.
And I was like, fuck it.
I accept
Whatever.
your vote.
Yeah. Remy was one of them. Yeah. But I think that's stupid. Like, ooh, I'm going to vote for the only person? No, fuck that. I'm not voting for that.
Yeah, that's not how you do it.
Yeah. But the questions I was really interested in. Absolutely.
All right, throw them shits at me.
Question 1. What the fuck is...
Wasn't psychedelics on the ballot?
It is. I'm going to go in chronological order, though.
Yeah,
that was number 3 or number 4. Number 1. I also know this because people petitioned outside of grocery stores for this. Up until now, there's nothing in the law books that says we can audit, like, the Congress of Massachusetts.
Oh, wow. I'm not surprised
So
by that.
that's question 1.
Cover your
I
ass.
was fucking yes. I'm like, yep, let's audit. Open up the books, see how they're fucking things up.
Yeah.
Which they'll get around that anyway. But still, it's the fact that we can do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was an absolute yes. If you vote yes, you want yes. I want to be able to audit the state.
Yeah, of course. Let's hold everybody responsible.
Yes. It blows my mind. We've been a state for like 250 years.
It doesn't,
and
though. The first thing they did with all those laws was cover their own asses.
I know. All right. So that was question 1. Question 2. Should we still have the MCAS? Yeah. If you vote yes, you are voting to get rid of the MCAS.
Oh, this is it. Okay, so let's talk a little. The MCAS is a test. Massachusetts got so dumb, and public schools have gotten so fucking dumb that now they have this basic test that if you don't pass it, you don't graduate.
You don't graduate high school. Yeah.
So this is interesting because it's necessary, right? Am I crazy? It's necessary.
But not the way they do it.
Okay, tell me more.
All right. So I was a guinea pig.
All right.
My class was one
See,
of the
I never was touched by it.
And my favorite thing about this is all I did was, and me and my friends would draw like Christmas trees and shit with the multiple choice.
Okay.
So like, okay, you're basing that off of people who know it doesn't matter for us. Okay.
Yeah, fair.
The other thing, because I've talked to people, some who are educators and not, and the big thing that came out of this is that teachers stopped teaching and they started teaching to a test.
Yeah.
So what is better for someone's education?
Personal teaching.
Personal teaching, individualizing their classes and making it worthwhile. What we experienced.
One-on-one contact.
Not just that, how we were taught in high school.
Yeah.
Or you have a teacher who's teaching so you can pass a test.
Yeah. And for kids and for all the people on Earth who don't test well, and there are many, which isn't always reflective of how intelligent they are, that's damning, right?
Yeah. And then they give you 5. I think they give you 5 attempts, and then they can give you like a portfolio.
Yeah.
You can do a portfolio instead.
But who the fuck's getting into college with a portfolio?
And I love this because I'm big on numbers because they fudge with the numbers. Like they say, 83% of Massachusetts students pass the MCAS. On the first, how about on the first try?
Yeah.
On the second try. How are students doing in inner cities? How are minorities doing with that test? How are special education in
And
people?
I've heard it's not necessarily relative to black people. I heard it's
it's a very middle class,
European,
white middle class,
white centric test. Yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is. So it's a biased test.
Very biased.
It's
yeah.
biased against you if you're poor. It's biased against you if you're black, if you're Asian, if you're Hispanic. It's biased against you in all those realms. So that's where my mind goes. Like, how do you do that? And
all right, I'm sold.
And so I voted, yeah, get rid of it, because if you want to get something else, something else that's better. But I love the commercials on the TV because it's like, we need a test because we're going to fall behind Mississippi. Mississippi is the dumbest state in the country.
Yeah, we're right.
And we are arguably the smartest state in the country. I don't think removing the MCAS
is going to make that.
It's just going to make us fucking idiot. It's not going to do that. No.
Water's dry.
All right. So number 3 is Uber drivers forming unions.
Oh yeah, I think everybody should be able to form one.
Yep. So I voted no, and I'll tell you why.
This fucking guy.
I'll tell you why. Because of all the people who work for Uber that I ran into outside of grocery stores who were having me sign a petition to not let it get on the ballot.
How come?
So their reasoning being is that, number one, the rides will go up. And the whole point it was created was to battle
cheaper than taxis. Yep.
Cheaper than taxis and limousine services. And you can get, and it's all dependent on your driver. And the drivers are scored by people.
Yep.
And then I also love the fact that riders get scored by the drivers too.
I mean, they should be. If you're a fucking scumbag,
yeah,
no one's going to pick you up.
I think my rating is like a 4.8.
I believe it.
I think it's something like that.
You're an easy to get along with guy.
Yeah. So the other thing they said is that if it was unionized, then they could their concerns were that then they would be forced when they had to work instead of working whenever they want to.
Okay, see.
And they feel like this is driven by like the taxi companies in Massachusetts who are just trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
I do feel bad for taxis though.
Okay.
Uber did appear
out of nowhere.
Yeah. And all those motherfuckers who've been doing it for 20, 30 years. But that's the thing. Evolve will get left behind, right?
Yeah, that's true. They could, and taxi service could do stuff like that too. But so I just said no because of the feedback I got.
Yeah.
And I've shared that with people, and I've gotten feedback myself. People like what you just said. And I said the only reason I did is because the people directly impacted by that I've spoken to
don't want it.
They laid out a case where I was like, okay,
nice,
that's fine. Now we get to number 4. That's the one you've been waiting for.
Curious, man.
Psychedelics. The legalizing of recreationally legalizing psychedelics.
Like we could have mushroom stores.
So Massachusetts.
By the way, buy marijuana industry. I'm jumping over.
But Massachusetts said, we're not going to go the medicinal route first and test it out. They went, nope, we're going right to recreational. I think I voted yes, but I think it's going to have a hard time passing.
So do I. It's just because marijuana passed, people are not educated properly about psychedelics. And our parents' generation, who still very much vote, think that you turn into a dragon and jump off a porch.
Yep.
That's just a fact. Trying to explain hallucinogens to somebody who's never taken them is one of the most difficult things in the world. And if they've watched movies and health movies, they're thinking the wrong thing. And yeah, I think that'll take more, upwards of 5 years or more to actively change. And that's going to involve people having to educate themselves.
Rem, do you think if they went the medicinal route, it would have had a better shot of passing? I do too.
I think if they went medicinal first, it just seems much more legit.
It seems like, we're going to do research on this. We're going to gather information.
Conservative voters are going to be like, oh, what's going to be next? Heroin. Like they don't understand that marijuana and psychedelics are beneficial.
LSD?
Yeah.
Ecstasy, MDMA.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think too many people are going to see that as, oh, now our state's going to become one of those hippy dippy, like the Green Triangle up in California where everyone's just walking around.
Or Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah, of course. So I understand that it would be cool. Do I think we're there yet? No, I don't. But it's nice that it was there.
Yeah.
But I think they missed a step.
I do too. Like, I've talked to people who have said, like, if they went the medicinal route, I would vote yes. I'm not going to vote. And I said, I understand
because you also don't necessarily want a bunch of 17-year-olds just eating mushrooms and shit out there, It's weird. But all right, so what about 5?
Number 5,
Johnny 5 is alive?
This impacted you in your prior role.
Okay.
Upping the wages of people in and I only mean it from tipping purposes.
Yeah.
So upping wages for bartenders, I would assume budtenders, and I would assume people who work in the restaurant industry mostly, but people who were doing what you were doing.
Yeah.
Upping it so that they have to get the prevailing wages instead of getting paid underneath because they can make up for it with tipping.
Well, I'll tell you, in the industry, they pay you great and you tip. They don't. Your tips do not affect what you make.
All right.
Some
Unlike
places
a
it might.
restaurant.
Yeah, I just want to
restaurant,
stress on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think I voted on that? So if you vote yes, you want their wages to increase over the next like 4 or 5 years until it catches up.
And makes tipping less mandatory?
Well, no, if they got tipping, it means they'll be taxed more.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I voted no for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they even say we make out like bandits. Because if you tip in cash, you don't have to report that.
Yep.
I know they say you should, but you don't have to.
You don't have to, dude.
And my first reaction when people were talking about this was, who the fuck's reporting their tips?
Tips, dude.
But then someone said, if you tip on a debit card or a credit card, that has to be
That makes sense.
accounted for. And I said, okay, that's fair. And we live in a world where less people carry cash.
Agreed.
So I get that. So their argument, the people that work in that industry, was, don't vote for that because we'll be ultimately they'd say we make less money.
Okay.
And they said it also would drive up the cost of everything even more. Because now they're all have to make at least minimum wage instead of the how much less they make, but they make up for it with tips.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's really about your hustle.
It really is.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah. So I voted no for that because I was like, yeah, I see them and that's going to hurt the people. It's not going to do. It reminded me, these kind of things reminded me of when we outlawed dog racing in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
When that was 2008 and I voted to keep it. And we didn't. So then we shipped all of the dogs off to Kentucky.
Where it's still perfectly.
Or they were euthanized.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. And then we had a lot of people out of work. And I love the arguments. What are we going to do for these people we're putting out of jobs? Oh, we're going to create this stuff and we're going to create all these things to help them get jobs or we're going to train them and do all this stuff. Where is that money coming from? You just took millions of dollars out of revenue.
Yeah.
Out of the state. Because you just saw it as our animals are abused. Where it was shown that in Massachusetts, those abuses were not going on to the dogs.
Oh, wow.
They were treated very well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, in other states, because that's what they use, the fear mongering. They use this is what happens. And it's like, but that's not what's going on in Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's not all universal.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's tough. But hopefully, hey, cool. Best case scenario is we get psychedelics. Cool.
That'll be interesting.
Like legally. It's obviously would take probably like 3 years if it did go through. Because those commissions they have to create.
Yep.
They got to make their.
Of course. That's going to be priority one.
However, let's be honest. If the state sees that it can make it's lucrative,
it's going for it.
They're going to do everything they can to make sure it passes.
I agree.
Because that's how marijuana. Yes, we went medicinal and we decriminalized and all that, but ultimately, what did Colorado show us?
Yep.
It showed Massachusetts you can make some coin off of it.
I have some theories about Fall River, man. I really do, because Fall River has like 12 of them.
Oh, you think it's purposeful?
I think that the money's being laundered because I think.
There's no doubt with that. I would assume
all the streets in Fall River would be fixed by now. All the sidewalks would be fixed. All the buildings would be built. Dude, 12 dispensaries in one tiny town.
Have I told you about Cosmopolitan Dispensary?
Yeah, didn't.
About one of the owners of Cosmopolitan. He wants to buy this decrepit
the warehouse
building that's dying. It was a school, then it was a warehouse, then a school, and it's just decrepit. And then it like when you drive through the city we live in,
you see it.
That's what you see.
Yep.
He wants to tear it down and turn it into a green space, and he's basically gotten opposition because the city's like, how do we make money off of a green space? And it's like,
how do you make money off an abandoned mill?
Yeah, you're losing money now.
Yeah.
You won't necessarily lose money. And it would be pretty beneficial, not just from the look of the city.
Just period.
I mean, let's be honest, they're gentrifying the city anyway, so what the fuck's the green space?
Makes no difference.
All right. So, I mean, that's good talk. You got anything else?
No, I'm nervous. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm kind of over right now, which I'm transitioning between jobs.
Yeah.
I'm transitioning between presidents. I'm just kind of like, so doing well, man. Keeping our head up,
just
but
get fucking over with. Just get it all fucking over with.
Aware of the axe that's swinging. So I kind of just want shit to happen so we can start moving forward and figuring out what we're going to be doing next in life. But I'm good, bro. You know,
me too.
Keep our fingers crossed.
All right. So hopefully the next time we're on, we'll have Jamie and we'll talk about more fun things.
Well, next week, hopefully we're going to do the hate cast and we're just going to talk shit.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to be positive here and sometimes it's okay to just bitch. So open mic bitch and stay tuned.
Ooh, all right. And until next time, everyone, take care.